Scheduled to take this year's Kenya Primary School Education Assessment along with the final group to undergo the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education held their rehearsals, and that was today. The session was on despite uncertain weather and security concerns. The question is, in this very region, will the government then step up to make sure that its efforts to ensure that the outcome of the exam reflects a level of playing ground across, or a level playing ground across? Well, also on this week's edition of Disruptive Friday, Eric Monene engages in a conversation with an industry insider that is about the African startup scene, delving into both the challenges as well as the opportunities that are awaiting startups in Africa. So good evening. Welcome once again. It's always good to have you join us. We have lots lined up for you, like I have said. So at this very point, I think it's very, very important we first of all take a look at what is the headlines. Tonight, tension remains high in Baringo County over the recent spate of banditry, raising concern over the safety of candidates sitting for their exams from Monday. And still on education, over 2.6 million learners hold rehearsals for KCPE and KCPE set to start Monday, this being the last cohort to sit the 38-year-old primary school exam.
We have done thorough sensitization and briefing of all the contracted professionals.
And one person arrested for alleging to be in possession of the forthcoming 2023 national examination papers for both primary and secondary school. Two suspects connected to the abduction and subsequent murder of taxi driver Evans Bikundo Muracha arrested by Nairobi Region Crime Research detectives. TV47 Weekend Edition begins right away. My name once again is Linda Alela. Sign language interpreter is none other than Catherine Simaloi. Remember, it's important that you interact with us. The hashtag is Disruptive Friday. We sample some of your comments as we continue with the broadcast. Now, the Rift Valley Regional Commissioner Abdi Hassan has noted that investigations have commenced, that is on the allegations of possible political interference, finding this latest 3 attacks this week. Meanwhile, students sitting national examinations in areas affected by the banditry attacks in Baringo will not be relocated to other examination centers, and that is according to the regional commissioner, following what he terms as a sufficient security intervention, as Sheila Chelagat details.
For a period of 1 week, Kapindasum and Kiserian in Baringo County have hit the headlines following the bold, daring and almost daily banditry attacks in the area. And as the examination period is expected to commence Monday, students in the troubled area have been assured that they will not be relocated to other examination centers.
Vile tunataka kuhakikishia watahiniwa waendelee kujitahidi na kuja kufanya mitihani bila wasiwasi na bila uoga, kwa sababu matayarisho ikiwemo usalama wao umekamilika.
Also, today's security meeting with the Rift Valley Regional Commissioner Abdi Hassan noted the concerns over the alleged political interference in the series of attacks this week.
Uchunguzi kamili unaendelea kufanywa. Tumepata nakala kadhaa, video zao, ili tuweze kuendelea kuchunguza kuona kama walipita ile mstari ambayo tunaita red line. Na iwapo wamepita hiyo mstari ya red line, basi watakuwa na majibu ya kujibu.
Further, the inquiry is set to find out about the alleged involvement of a helicopter seen hovering in the area before the attacks this week, according to residents here.
So it is just a matter of time. We'll be able to explain to the public this relationship, whether there is any correlation between the aircrafts that are seen flying and at the same time there is banditry activity on the ground.
Locals here can only hope that the promise of intervention is acted upon, even as they mourn an NPR officer who lost their lives in the attack.
Tuko na mpango ya kuflash out hawa watu kwa sababu hatujui kama ni wafugaji ama ni majambazi. Wale ambao walikuwa nafanya vituko pale Kapindasum sio majambazi. Wale ni magaidi.
So far, the identity of the bandits remain unknown, even as the area receives a beefed-up deployment of KDF officers. Sheila Chelanget for TV47.
And over 2.6 million learners held rehearsals today ahead of the KCPE and KCPE exams set to commence Monday. The Kenya National Examination Council, KNEC, that is Chief Executive Officer David Ngengere, has assured security to this year's Kenya Primary Education Certificate, KCPE, and the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment, KCPE candidates. That's Chichi Josephine details.
In all the 32,000 centers for KCPE and the 28,000 centers for KCPE across the country is that the examinations are secure. They are in the 576 containers across the entire country. And we want to assure our candidates that there is nobody who has access to any of those papers. Anybody lying to you that they can give you the papers before the day of the exam, those are fraudsters. There is nobody who has access to those papers.
Wanafunzi wetu wameandaliwa vyema na kwa hivi sasa leo ikiwa ni siku ya rehearsal, wanafunzi wako tayari kabisa na wenzangu wameniarifu kwamba kila kitu imeendelea vizuri na KO North hatuchakuwa na hukumu wowote. Hadi hivi sasa kama vile serikali walipotangaza kuwa msimu wa El Nino uko.
They sat quietly in rows having a sneak peek with their date with destiny Monday as they sit for the examinations which will transition them to secondary school. As is the drill year in, year out, the candidates were taken through how to carry themselves and behave during the 3-day assessment. But the big elephant in the room remained that of above-board tests.
We are well prepared for this upcoming exam. I strongly believe that you are going to pass this upcoming exam.
Mimi nimejiandaa vizuri kama mwanafunzi na niko na imani ya kwamba nitaenda kupita.
We are actually very ready for this exam, both KCPE and KCPE.
Speaking at Athi River Primary School, during rehearsals, 4 exams are slated to start on Monday next week. KNEC Chief Executive Officer Dr. David Ngengere said the exams will continue uninterrupted.
In all the 32,000 centers for KCPE and the 28,000 centers for KCPE across the country is that the examinations are secure. They are in the 576 containers across the entire country. And we want to assure our candidates that there is nobody who has access to any of those papers.
Dr. Ngengere said a raft of measures have been undertaken to ensure areas prone to floods and insecurity exams will not be affected.
KNEC has put contingency measures in place. In case there will be El Nino rains or enhanced rains, we are prepared across the country to ensure that there will be no disruption to the administration of the exam.
In Eastern Kenya, Regional Director of Education Frederick Kiru has confirmed that all is set for the national examinations with examination containers strategically kept, noting that enough attention had been given to the current weather when planning for the exams and that few hitches were expected.
In Eastern Region, we had, for instance, foreseen we may have problems in parts of Isiolo, Marsabit, and Kitui. And even as we talk now, you know, we are having a bit of some floods in Marsabit, like that area called Badasa. So we had mapped those areas and we had put measures on what to do, how to react.
Elsewhere, the chairperson of the Association of Primary School Head Teachers in KU South Constituency, Daniel Serem, says plans are complete to ensure KCPE candidates take the examinations uninterrupted by rains that have been pounding the area in recent days.
Wanafunzi wako tayari kabisa na wenzangu wameniarifu kwamba kila kitu imeendelea vizuri na KU North hatuchakuwa na hukumu wowote. Hadi hivi sasa kama vile serikali walipotangaza kuwa msimu wa El Nino uko nasi na utayari tulihakikishiwa kwamba kila kitu itakuwa sawa.
Chichi, Josephine, TV47.
Thanks, Chichi, for that. Now, a 23-year-old teacher from a school in Kiambu County has been arrested for alleging to be in possession of the forthcoming 2023 national examination papers for both primary and secondary school. The suspect, Nicholas Gumbau Kalewa, who teaches Christian religion education at St. Lilian Academy in Gikambura village, was arrested following investigations by detectives attached to the Kenya National Examination Council. The suspect had opened over 10 WhatsApp and Telegram accounts where he was hawking the fake examination papers at about 1,500 shillings per paper and 2,000 shillings for a complete examination paper with its marking scheme. The suspect, who had allegedly used the stolen identity card to register the SIM cards that he was using, had also opened a bank account and provided a till pay bill number, that is where the money would be sent. Manhunt for the suspect immediately followed, leading to his arrest in Gikambura village, Kiambu County, where his several SIM cards believed to be used in the fraud were also found in his possession. And still on matters education, next week a total of 1.4 million registered 2023 KCPE candidates and 1.8 million KCPE candidates will be sitting their national examinations. But important to note is that this will be the last cohort, making the end of an era for the KCPE examinations. Elizabeth Atieno now reports on the historical journey of 4-decade-long KCPE exams in Kenya.
In 1985, 360,000 candidates in Kenya were the first to sit the Kenya Primary Education KCPE examination, ushering in the 844 system. But before this system, the country had the 7-4-2-3 curriculum, consisting of 7 years in primary, 4 years of secondary education, 2 years in high school, and 3 to 5 years of university education. For the 38 years, the KCPE examination have been conducted on an annual basis, where schools and learners scrambled for top positions.
The 2022 KCPE examination.
And the watershed moment being the announcement of the results, which evoked excitement and disappointment. Teachers from schools where students posted good results earned promotions and rewards, while those who performed dismally were demoted, reprimanded, or in some instances chased away by agitated parents. The education landscape in Kenya is expected to change right after the completion of this year's KCPE examination, slated to run from the 30th of October to the 1st of November 2023, where 1.4 million candidates will sit the last KCPE exams in the country. Close to 4 decades later, focus turns to the competency-based curriculum, where learners will be assessed through a new education system, the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment, KCPE. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
And away from matters education, the president, that is Dr. William Samoei Ruto, has announced plans to slash spending on travel budgets in the entire public service by half, saying the move will save the taxpayer 11 billion shillings. The president, who spoke in Voi Taita Taveta County, where he opened the Gemstone Value Addition and Marketing Center, said the move will also apply to the judiciary and parliament, not just the executive, as Apollo Kamau details.
In yet another push for austerity measures by the Kenya Kwanza administration to tame spending and implement budget cuts, President William Ruto, who was in Voi Taita Taveta County, announced plans to cut travel budgets by half in the three arms of the government, a move he says will save the taxpayer 11 billion shillings.
Niliona jana watu wa magazeti wanasema nimepunguza milioni 500. Hapana, si milioni 500. Nimepunguza bilioni 11 ya wale wote wanaosafiri kwenda sijui conference, wanaenda sijui workshop, wanaenda sijui benchmarking, wanaenda sijui kufanya nini, mambo ambayo hayana faida kwa wananchi wa Kenya.
The government currently facing economic constraints amid an ambitious push to widen the revenue base, introducing new taxes to the protests of Kenyans battling the high cost of living, also wants to limit delegations accompanying the president, the deputy president, and the prime cabinet secretary to officials playing a direct role.
Safari itakayo gharimiwa na wananchi wa Kenya iwe ni safari italeta pesa, italeta waegezaji, ama ilete manufaa kwa wananchi wa Kenya.
The president's office has already spent its annual travel budget, capped at 700 million shillings by the National Treasury, with the National Assembly's Defense and Foreign Relations Committee seeking an additional 1.4 billion shillings for the president's travel.
Tutapunguza by 50% pesa ya judiciary, 50% pesa ya legislature, 50% pesa ya executive, ya mambo ya travel.
A circular by head of the public service Felix Koskei has said the government will no longer pay for benchmarking visits and other training opportunities for government officials. Apollo Kamau, TV47.
And now, two suspects connected to the abduction and subsequent murder of taxi driver Evans Bikundo Moracha have been arrested by Nairobi Region Crime Research detectives following a night-long operation. The two suspects, Stanley Collins Muthika and Kennedy Muremi Kinyua, were arrested in Nyeri's Ruringo village and Olekasasi, Ongata Rongai in Kajiado North, respectively. The deceased disappeared and was reported by his wife, Teresa Masesi Kerubo, at Mihango Police Station on October the 14th, indicating that he and his vehicle, a Toyota Vitz registration number KDH 833M, had been missing for 3 days. And the State of Kenya Population Report 2023, authored by the National Council for Population and Development, has Friday reported that Kenya's population is expected to keep growing. This despite Kenya's fertility rate continuing to decline over the years, with the fertility in women in rural areas being higher than those in urban areas, as Grace Kanja details.
According to the report, Kenya's population is projected to currently be at 51.5 million and shall keep growing to reach 70 million in 2050. This is a contrast compared to reports of a continued decline in Kenya's fertility rate over the years, with the 2022 KDHS showing that the country's fertility had reached 3.4 children per woman. The anxiety has been that this will result in a diminishing population size. However, projections show that Kenya's population is expected to keep increasing over the next 5 decades. In Kenya, the youth, that is over 18 to 34 years, constitute about 29% of the total population. The youth population grew from over 3 million in 1989 to more than 13 million in 2019 and is projected to increase to more than 18 million by 2035. Kenya's population of older persons, on the other hand, increased by about 41% from 1.9 million in 2009 to 2.7 million in 2019. Older persons are therefore the fastest growing population segment in the country. Breaking down the fertility rate in the country, women in rural areas have a higher rate at 3.9 than those in urban areas at 2.8 children per woman. The percentage of women aged 15 to 19 who have ever been pregnant was highest in Samburu at 50% and West Pokot at 36% and lowest in Nyeri and Nyandarua with 5% each. In 2014, according to NCPD, 58% of married women were using a method of family planning compared to 63% in 2022. Grace Kuriakanja, TV47.
And a bit of politics. It is once again a huge blow, that is, to the governor of Meru County, Kawira Mwangaza, after a petition, that is, to block her impeachment was dismissed by the Court of Appeal. That is on Friday. The governor has been facing opposition from some of the ward representatives of the county when they submitted a motion to the county assembly seeking to remove her from power and alleging misuse of public funds, among other issues in her administration.
On Wednesday, 59 members of the County Assembly from Meru voted in support of the motion to oust Governor Kawira Mwangaza from office after agreeing with the 7 issues presented by Mitungu MCA Evans Mawira, which he said outlined why Kawira Mwangaza is not fit to hold the office. As a result, the governor had filed a petition to block her impeachment at the Court of Appeal, which later on Friday dismissed the prayer. And it seems like when it rains, it pours for Governor Mwangaza, after a section of women leaders in Meru County have also announced the intent to support the impeachment while criticizing the statement of other political leaders from other counties for trying to defend the Meru governor.
Waigoro, wacha kundanganya wa Meru. Kwako ni kama London saa hii. Kazi unafanya. Kama ni rafiki yako gavana wa Meru, ungemshika mkono ile wakati wa kwanza na umuonyeshe barabara yenye anafaa afanye. Ama ile maendeleo anafaa kuwe amefanya kama wewe.
We are here to tell them kindly to keep off our Meru issue because we have leaders who are well able to address our issues as Meru people.
They stress that Kawira has been removed from power following her performance, not a gender issue.
We are not victimizing Kawira. It is only that she has not proved herself, and we feel frustrated as Meru community because we trust in her as a woman and we trust in her as a leader, but she has not been able to assume the status of a county CEO.
The final decision on whether Kawira Mwangaza will continue to serve as the governor in Meru now remains with the Senate, which is expected to reconvene next week with the matter top of the agenda. Paul Munio, TV47.
And it being a night of technology and innovation, we celebrate our own Philip Thigo, a Kenyan technology and a public policy expert who has been appointed as one of the 38 experts to a United Nations advisory body that is on artificial intelligence, as announced by United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. The initiative, as proposed in the Secretary General's 2020 roadmap for digital cooperation, is a response to the rapid development of AI. The body, comprising of 20 women and 18 men and a permanent member of the Secretariat, is gender balanced, geographically diverse and inclusive of all age groups, representing 33 countries from every continent.
In challenging times, AI could power extraordinary progress for humanity, from predicting and addressing crises to rolling out public health services and education services. AI could scale up and amplify the work of governments, civil society, and the United Nations across the board. But all this depends on AI technologies being harnessed responsibly and made accessible to all including the developing countries that need them most. As things stand, AI expertise is concentrated in a handful of companies and countries. And this could deepen global inequalities and turn digital divides into chasms. Potential harms of AI extend to serious concerns over misinformation and disinformation, the entrenching of bias and discrimination, surveillance and invasion of privacy, fraud and other violations of human rights. And without entering into a host of doomsday scenarios, it is already clear that the malicious use of AI could undermine trust in institutions, weaken social cohesion, and threaten democracy itself. For all these reasons, I have called for a global, multidisciplinary, multi-stakeholder conversation on the governance of AI, so that its benefits to humanity, all of humanity, are maximized and the risks contained are diminished.
Now, student leaders from various universities across the country have now threatened to strike following a lack of clarification on the new funding model for the universities and the delay in disbursement of the HELB funds. Speaking earlier today during a Universities and Colleges Students' Peace Association of Kenya, that is workshop, the students have cited exclusion from various meetings that involve students, full payment of school fees, and a lack of consideration during disbursement of HELB funds to the students across various universities in the country.
President and other leaders also, we are here. So on Tuesday, we are going to hold a mass demonstration. And this one is to the Ministry of Education.
We agree with the situation at the initial stages. We as student leaders in various institutions in this Republic of Kenya, we were never incorporated into the entire ecosystem.
Yes.
Right now we are being reinforced to implement something that we were never part and parcel of it.
As comrades in different universities, we are facing a lot of problems, especially about HELB and the new funding models. As my people have said, we were never incorporated in anything that has happened. About the new funding model, the HELB has delayed. In our institutions, the comrades are suffering.
The Kenya Kwanza government's affordable housing agenda is on course, and Kenyans will in a few months start settling in the houses. This is according to Lands, Housing and Urban Development Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome, who also said that construction of 38,000 units is already underway, adding that in 6 months, construction of 62,000 more will have taken off. Speaking in Meru town while inspecting the ongoing construction of 1,050 units at King's Bomar Estate on Friday, the CS noted that Kenya will by early next year start settling in decent affordable homes. Wahome pointed out that some 605 units that are being put up in Nakuru County will be ready for occupation starting December this year, noting that the units are in the final stages of completion. The CS also added that they are hoping to access the housing levy that was introduced by the Kenya Kwanza government so as to fast-track implementation of the affordable housing project across the country.
We expect to finish this project a total number of housing units, 1,050 by 2025. If King's developers give us the houses area, the better. But these people are also doing for us the houses in Thika. At least they have taken some projects in Thika. Thika is a very big town with a huge population, just like Roiro. So we will need more than 1,000 units. So we still have space for other people, but I'm glad that they have taken the lead. They are in Thika. You remember the other day with His Excellency, we went to Thika, and they have commenced the Thika development. Nakuru, they are almost done with about 605 units. By December this year, the Nakuru ones will be occupied. By January, mwaka mpya ni huko Nakuru, 605 units. I like the space because, as you can see, all these areas will be green, maybe a few flowers here and there, a play area for the kids, kindergarten inside, and those kind of facilities. Because the number is huge of the people to move in here, we will identify the schools, the primary schools next door, the secondary schools next door for expansion. Within this project arrangement, we shall expand those ones, possibly by another school altogether, or almost equivalent of a classroom per class. Yeah, we together? Yes. A classroom per class. So if we have 1 to 8, then we shall have an extra 8 classrooms.
Well, the sportsmen and women would tell you that it's time for what you would call half a time. We still have lots lined up for you, including sports and that interview on Disruptive Friday. So don't you go anywhere. We'll take a quick short break and we're back.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Toka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Monio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao.
Thank you so much for choosing to stay with TV47 Weekend Edition. And of course, we, like I've said, have lots lined up for you. And we take a look at this one. Youth from different parts of the country have been challenged to take up a lead role in agriculture so as to transform the economy of the country and address the food challenges in their respective region. Wild Food Program, in collaboration with different private organizations, including E for Impact, well, that is in Kenya, in a challenge dubbed Vijana Kilomobis. A number of the youth from different parts of the country had to showcase what kind of agriculture they have been practicing, and the winners in the challenge were receiving an amount of up to 40 million Kenyan shillings. However, a section of youth feel the county government has done little in addressing food challenges.
And a hydroponic unit where we get the pre-basic seed, we multiply the pre-basic seed in 2 seasons, to basic and then to certified. We involve youth and women in agribusiness to do that. At the field, we train them for 2 seasons from when we are multiplying the seed from pre-basic to basic and then to certified. So we train them on how to manage crop.
Sahi mimi nafanya agribusiness, nafanya ukuzaji wa mboga, matunda na seedlings, be it fruits and shade trees. Tunaitengeneza pale kwa shamba yetu tukiziuza. Na bado kuna honey production. Huko kwetu tuna vichaka kubwa. We don't have scarcity of land. Hapa kwenu kuna shida ya ardhi, lakini huko mtu akitaka kupanda vizuri bora apate maji. Misimu ya mvua ukipanda ya kutosha, unavuna ya kutosha.
So it's now that we are trying to change that narrative whereby we have the youth coming back, because you're energetic. You can be able to change a lot. There is innovation, there is technology involved in it. Yes.
And these guys have innovated, but now they need someone to hold their hand to actually ensure that they can present their innovations in a very creative way, and they can raise financing to scale what they are doing and have a bigger impact in lives of the communities they are working with. So we want to see job creation by young people for young people, and more revenues being generated by these young people.
Now, Kenyans join the world in marking the World Audiovisual Heritage Day. A day was chosen by the UNESCO in 2005 to raise awareness of the significance and preservation risks of recorded sound and audiovisual documents, including films, sound and video recordings, radio and television programs. Willie Dennis Njiru with a journey that Kenya has taken down the audiovisual path.
Haya ni matokeo kwa ufupi na Radio 47, idhaa inayokuwa kwa kasi zaidi nchini.
With clarity and meticulous nature in delivery to invisible audience by seasoned journalists at TV and Radio 47 studios. The journey has neither been smooth or easy, as it has called for alterations of the law, enhancement of bandwidth frequencies in the FM and digital space to enhance the growth.
Tulianza na radio tudogo, na ile radio kiguza tu kidogo hivi, kwa mzazi ilikuwa vita kubwa sana. Nikikumbuka mahali tumetoka na leo hii, naona leo hii tumeendelea kweli.
Tulikuwa tunafuga betri mingi kama 10 hivi, unaunganisha unaweka kwa TV, kwa radio ama kwa ile kitosi ilikuwa kubwa.
Na imekuwa safari nzuri. Wakati ule ambapo tulianza labda mitambo ilikuwa tofauti, lakini kwa sasa ni mambo ya kubonyeza. Inamaanisha kwamba siku zinazidi kubadilika.
Much has evolved in the radio and television space, from the manufacturers ranging from their sizes, great display to color and clarity in TV, to fully digital radio sets as compared to initial utilization of compact cassettes, turntables, discs to DVDs and radios that never had similar utilities.
Kazi imekuwa summarized into one machine. Naweza ongelesha yule jamaa amekaa anaongea pale, nimpe directions, mwambie break ni hii time hivi hivyo. Alafu kama kuna taarifa nyingine kwa stories, videos zenye anataka zicheze hewani, niko nazo hapa. Ziko tayari hapa. Akitaka hii nachagua hii, akitaka hii nachagua hii, akitaka hii nachagua hii. Kumbuka hiyo ni kazi ya mtu wa pili, bado inafanywa na mashine moja. Kama kuna taarifa inataka kusoma kwa kiwambo chake, ziko hapa. Unaelewa? So naweza ndamchezea kulingana na speed yake. Kama ako mbio sana napunguza. Hii kisha namwambia taarifa next ni gani, vitu kama hizo. Alafu pia bado kuna graphics. Ukiangalia pale, kumbuka ni machine moja, inaonyesha evolving technology kwa media na audiovisual.
Kenyans expressing their down memory lane on the journey so far.
Radio ilikuwa ya muhimu sana kwa maisha yetu. Na ndio ilikuwa saa asubuhi pale tukienda shule.
Ilikuwa inabidi hiyo sasa, hiyo kawimbo ukisikia tin, unajua hiyo ni masaa ya kuamka kuelekea nini? Shule.
The radio always played a mind theater where captivating metaphors, humor and delivery of cultural stories took center stage by the then commentators.
Radio ilikuwa moja mtaani na hiyo moja ilikuwa ya baba na hungeguza. By the way, station alikuwa na set 2 station, moja ilikuwa inashika KBC peke yake. Hiyo ndio station yenye ilikuwa ya radio taifa mzima na ilikuwa inafika. By the way, umenikumbusha mbali nikikumbuka masaa ya taarifa ikifika, kuna kaimbo ilikuwa inasema tin tiriri kama ua joroge tin 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 tin. Nasikia tin. Hivi sasa ni saa 1 kamili.
Hiyo mechi ya Harambee Stars na timu ya taifa ya South Sudan, matokeo uliipata?
Huyo ndio kiungo muhimu. Saba ni kiungo.
Namba 7.
With further enhancement of the visual, audio and editing technology equipments that integrate the appropriate production as compared to yesteryears where this happened manually.
Kitu ambacho kimezidi kubadilika ni taswira katika masuala ya kazi. Unapata kwamba wakati radio inazidi kubadilika, kuna wakati radio ilikuwa lazima ukafanya vitu manual, lakini kwa sasa ni mitambo ya kubonyeza tu na radio inatembea. Inamaanisha kwamba teknolojia inabadilika.
Ilikuwa inafunguliwa saa 11, inafungwa saa 4. Nikikumbuka hiyo wakati naona teknolojia imekuwa juu. Sasa ukitaka kuwatch TV unafungulia simu yako unawatch.
In fact tulikuwa tunaenda kwa mtu mmoja watu kama 100. Mradi tu tuone ile TV.
As the world marks the Audiovisual Day globally, it is paramount to have cognizance on the critical role in the communication and entertainment industry, as information is power.
Shot zangu tofauti naweza kuwa able kuzichanganya ama kuzimix hapa bila kuhitaji usaidizi wa zile za kitambo CCU ama nini, hizo vitu zote. So hizo ni kazi za watu karibu 10 zimewekwa kwa machine moja, inabidi uifanye. So unapata kama uja upgrade ama uja advance technology, unaachwa nyuma. Ule mtu alikuwa kwa media kitambo, let's say 30 years ago ama 20 years ago, kwa media technical, akirudi saa hizi itabidi aanze fresh. Na ile experience yake yote kitambo ile haezi itumia saa hii.
It has been quite a journey, embracing technology to where it has come from and where it is today and where it is headed. Nonetheless, here we are, delighted of what the technology has to offer in the present day. Reporting for TV47 from Naivasha in Nakuru County, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
Well, I know it's time for sports, but I have to acknowledge that story by Willie. I could watch it again and again, just reminiscing on the great strides that we have made na tunazidi kuendelea. Now, Milwaukee Bucks registered 118 to 117.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for.
That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Muyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua, tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa.
And from sports to matters technology and innovation, Africa is a continent overflowing with enormous potential and promising prospects for innovation and entrepreneurship. Fueled by a youthful and expanding population, a surge in internet and mobile accessibility, and a thriving technology ecosystem, Africa has become a focal point for both, of course, what we see right here, and grapples with a multitude of challenges that we have. Nevertheless, we keep going. Africa, as we have said, even as it grapples with these challenges and impediments, of course, the progress and endurance of its growing startup ecosystem is on. Eric Monene had a chat with Jeff Mkungusi, right, from Adenian Labs, an incubation lab that supports startups from the ideation stage and, of course, all the way to fully fledged companies. And this is what he had to say. We'll leave you with this great interview. My name is Linda Alela. Do have yourself a lovely evening, even as you watch that.
The startup scene in Africa is led by 4 countries: Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, and Egypt. Here in Africa, incubation hubs such as Adenian Labs, and especially here in Kenya, help startups grow from ideation all the way to fully fledged company. Today, I speak to Jeff Mkungusi, a representative from Adenian. Thank you so much for finding time to join us on this conversation. So what exactly does Adenian Labs do?
Adenian Labs is a venture studio. We encourage and empower innovators from the ideation stage of unique ideas to actually fully fledged companies. We work with them across the process. We help them set structures. We help them come up with strategies, and we're also able to empower them across different African markets. And with this course, we also see a lot of innovation coming out across multiple market sectors.
You say that you have specific technological tools that help companies grow. Could you mention some of them?
Some of the tech tools mostly cut across 4 market sectors. So you have the agricultural sector, the BFSI sector, the business financial service insurance sector. You have the media sector, and also the healthcare sector. And with these 4 sectors, you see that we also have unique tools that are purely engineered by research to actually be able to be defined for specific local niches across African markets. And agriculture, we have a farm tool, we have a track and trace tool. We have tools around credit scoring, where we help farmers understand risk profiles of soil and some of the challenges they're facing on a weather basis, and also correlated back with location. And business, financial service, and insurance, we have tools around integrations, around payments, around even some tools within the blockchain ecosystem as well. In media is around advertising. How best can you be able to, how can people earn from rewards with a unique and balanceable business model? How can also patients own their own data is one of the key tools that we also have around healthcare. And also giving power back to the patient is something that also drives that particular tool.
Interesting. So how does Adenian Lab contribute to the growth of dynamic startups in Africa?
How we do that is, first of all, we are able to share out some of the insights that we also gain across Africa, because we're also seeing multiple African countries evolve with external factors that affect them. It can be inflation, it can be problems that sprout out from advanced engineering, and also how we also ideate and develop these particular concepts to be able to guide innovators coming in with ideas. Because think about it this way: you come up with an innovation percent, from a short-term, mid-term, long-term approach, and we also set up structures within the company itself to be able to propagate processes and also make the company be able to move on its own. So so it's from the idea to actually being a company with a life of its own, which is it's been interesting so far.
You say that you come up with partnerships, and I can imagine that is a lot of investments that you do. Knowing very well how the startup scene, and especially in Africa, is very volatile, what sets you apart from other incubation hubs?
To Africa. Because when you have a solution as a startup, most people think, fine, it might be for Kenya. But there's Uganda, there's Tanzania, there's Zambia. There are also people living there. There are also people who might really want that particular solution. And that also brings up the insight where a solution that might be even developed in Kenya works totally well in a different market and might not be adopted even from the local hometown, which is a very interesting insight if you actually think about it. So what we're trying to do is how can we also be able to restructure these ideations to be problems, to provide solutions across board in Africa to the world, but not just on a specific local niche, so that they become scalable companies. Because scalability, that also plays a key part around scalability.
Let's talk about such ideas that are probably not accepted at home, but work elsewhere in a better way, and they provide solutions to some of the unique problems that people have, especially in Africa. Do you have some examples that you have?
So some examples also cut across like transactional processes. There might be specific transactional models which might not be accepted in different markets because there's already an established trusted brand. But because there are other countries which have a lot of issues around settlement, around cross-border transactions, then that particular solution might not be quite big, but is actually accepted in a specific niche within a different African market. You have solutions around, know your customer, know your transactions, KYT, around onboarding, solutions around verifiable credentials, which is a new type of technology, but we're seeing it accepted in different countries. We're seeing countries which, from the get-go, you can be able to verify with just a QR code. Massive payments, cross-border payments, and those are some of the solutions. Because with the innovation, it's forward-seeing as well, and where you can be able to deploy the solution itself.
Well, Adenian Labs focuses mostly on the startup ecosystem in Africa. How do you harness the tech talent in Africa? How do you identify, nurture, and leverage on the tech talent in Africa to ensure?
And from that, because again, with innovation, it's also not easy. So you need specific people, not just the right person, not the most knowledgeable person, but a specific person who sees the problem and is passionate about solving that problem. Because now with the startup ecosystem, it's also not easy. It also requires a specific type of sacrifice, a specific type of excellence, a specific type of forward thinking, where you're always having your ear around the echoes that are happening in the world. And then from that, we're able to have a pool, because we also have a very good structure as a company, where we're able to get our venture part of the company to look at the pool, to vet the ideas, because we have a very strong vetting process for the different ideas. Then from that, we're able to invite them in the different countries, because the call is in the countries we're in. And they can be able to talk about the ideas, to defend the ideas. And then we also have a strong panel where, again, that's the final vetting process, where now we schools. And because capacity building is actually something quite big for us, because we're able to curate capacity with very rare skills. And now these are the skills which now support these innovators, because that's what we want. We want to create jobs. We want to make sure that there's industrialization and also upholding the new industrial era around innovation as well. And through that now, as they join this particular process, we're able now to work with them. We're able to understand some of the challenges, we're able to connect and be able to get the right minds to help them. Might even be to deploy to 2 different markets, just to do an analysis on how the product is adopted. Because the insights you can get in South Africa that you might not get in Nigeria, the insights you're getting in Tanzania that you might not get in, for example, Zambia. And also each market also has its own growing trajectory, which we also understand, and we're also correlating that knowledge. And with the experts that we have, we make sure that we work with them to the point that they become fully fledged companies. And even if they're able to exit, our particular process, we still work with them to make sure that they are fully supported. And that's what actually puts us apart.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned something very important here. You've said you keep your ears on the ground to know what is happening in the world. Technology evolves fast. How do you stay updated on technological changes, and how does that knowledge impact on your clients?
First of all, Adenian Labs is a collective of multiple companies. you know, and on these companies, some of them target different market sectors. You have, I can mention a few. You have the Africa Blockchain Center, which looks at the Web3 ecosystem of the world. You have Afia Record, which is a key company that looks at every trending thing in healthcare. You have Rewarders, which is a specific concept that looks at marketing and advertising. So each particular company is targeting a different market sector, and each company also brings its own value. So for example, the Africa Blockchain Center has its own community. You have CryptSense Digital Group, which is a company within the Africa Blockchain Center, which also has its own funnel of knowledge and information. You know, you have Afia Record, which has its ears around health. You have Thorium, which is a startup within the Adenian ecosystem, which has its ears around agriculture and farming. You know, you have Ecoba, which looks at the saving culture across Africa, you know, the trends, credit scoring. You have AIC, which looks at the AI aspect. So you have all these multiple funnels because it's an ecosystem. And how you curate that knowledge is how we are always at par with each type of technology or emerging technology.
Mm-hmm. Let me take you back a bit. Let's begin from now, ideation. There are not so many incubation hubs in Africa. For someone who's watching right now and they probably have an idea, can you take us through how you take a product from ideation all the way to a scalable product and having it fully fledged, and the kind of resources that you offer to such startups?
So with ideation also, it's also, first of all, it cuts across multiple sectors because we have people who have different ideas, you know, can be across farming, can be engineering, can be minerals, can be computing, can be. So first of all, we take that idea and of course, working with you, we structure it properly, you know, from, okay, this is what you want to start with, but with what's happening in the world, it makes sense to start this way, and this is your roadmap to becoming this. So that's a process on its own. First of all, we have to understand what this is, what's the need, what's the market size, who's the target audience, how, and what's the particular roadmap within milestones that are very clear. Then from that particular process, then we now churn that information and knowledge and understand, okay, now these are the resources that are required. And because we have capacity building cutting across artificial intelligence, you have capacity building in blockchain engineering, and also, you know, crypto, you have capacity building around Web2 technologies, then you see, okay, from these different resource pools, who are some of the bright minds in Africa that we can be able to aggregate. Then as we aggregate, we form those particular teams, of course, working with you and supporting you. Then there's some ideas where somebody can come with a product, but it's not even built properly. So you have to start again, which is also work on its own. Sometimes you get a product which, okay, they have tried, so it requires a bit of amendments just to make sure that at least it meets, because also each market also has a standard. There's regulation, which we're also friends with the regulators. And also with your roadmap that guides, because you can build a product and say, it makes sense to deploy in Cape Town. And then from Cape Town, you can move back to Nigeria. Then from Nigeria, maybe Kenya is the last one. Why? Because by then, the specific policies that will be, because legally law is also an important aspect as well. And some of the key things which we notice with this process is also within this process, who are the right partners? Not just partnering with everyone. And why are you partnering with them? And what's the value correlation and the time span as well? And as we're able to map with that, of course, we have specific plans around building the platform, working on the different assets of the company, where now we have the sales department helping the products to grow and scale, to the point that as you now start owning up and running those particular operations. And of course, in each country, there's also a support frame, which now helps these startups as well. Then in the nutshell now, as within the roadmap, there's also a specific part where now the company starts gaining a life of its own. So it starts slowly because you can't even rush as well. So as you start